Everybody, if you don't mind, rising for a moment for all the martyrs. Shalom Aleichem, I'm Mason Situ, and on behalf of Ishtar Cultural Center, we welcome you to tonight's emotional, educational, and inspiring event, shedding a deep perspective and education on the Assyrian Genocide, more commonly known as Seyfo. We'd like to welcome Iraqi Human Rights Society here, Al-Kosh Cultural Forum, Suraya Educational Collective, and everyone else who came out to tonight's event. Tonight's educator is a man who's dedicated his life to this particular part of history and a torchbearer of carrying our culture and histories, Dr. Sabro Bengaro. Dr. Bengaro was born in Arbil Nizbin in Tur Abdin. Though moving to Sweden at a young age, his passion for our people in Atra only grew. Dr. Bengaro is a highly respected and accomplished scholar with multiple degrees and achievements. A PhD in history from the University of Texas, a master's degree in economics from the University of Gothenburg, a second master's in human rights and genocide studies from Kensington University in London, Siena University in Italy, and Warsaw University in Poland, as well as a third master's degree in history from Massachusetts University. Aside from those incredible accomplishments, he is a member of the International Association of Genocide Scholars. He is the founder and director of the Assyrian Genocide Research Center, also known as Seyfo Center, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to the research and documentation of the Assyrian genocide and contemporary issues related to the history, politics, society, and culture of Assyrians around the world. The center was founded in 2004 and is active in several countries, including the United States, Germany, and Sweden, tackling the issues and spreading awareness on our people's plight internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm honored to introduce Dr. Sabro Bengaro.
Thank you very much, Mason, for your warm introduction. Thank you. Shalom Aleichem. I wish I could speak your dialect and say Shlama and continue with that, but I speak Western dialect. You know, we are a nation, we have many dialects. I speak Western dialect. I say Shlomo, you say Shlama, you say Athra, I say Athro, Kasha, Kasho, and Baita, Baito. It is the same language, but unfortunately I don't speak your dialect, so I will continue with English. I am honored to be invited by the Ishtar Cultural Center, its members, and my friends, Mr. Sam Kassab and Mr. Alan Jamil. I deeply appreciate their dedication to the Assyrian cause and to education. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. And also welcome Rabita, Galita, Shaba, Jaji from Afra to be here and other organization representative here. I will tell you about myself, why I am working so much about the Assyrian genocide. In Western dialect, we call it Seyfo, and Eastern Sepa. Sometimes we call it Parman, Safar Barlik, Kafle, Tur Abdin. Some people, they call it. Everything started in my childhood. I was born in Nesaibin, in a small village called Arbo. We had 70 families in my village. We were Assyrians. We had 7 churches. Marshalita was one of those churches. And not many people spoke Turkish. And I didn't speak Turkish too when I was born. I was 7 years old. The first school started in Arbo. I was one of the first students among 40 other students. We had a teacher, Turkish teacher came to our village to teach us. Every single day before entering the class, we had to stay outside and say, I am a Turk. I am proud to be Turk. When I grow up, I will sacrifice my life for Turkishness. And somebody was translating, I don't know exactly why I didn't want to say it. It didn't sound right for me. And my teacher came and he slapped me. He said, speak up. Again, Türk'üm, doğruyum, çalışkanım, yassam, çocuklarımı korumak in Turkish. I am a Turk. I am proud to be Turk. When I grow up, I will sacrifice my life for Turkishness. I didn't say it. Normally, my character, people who knows me, I am very humble, but I am very stubborn too. I didn't say it. And this because when you go to school, you learn, you educate yourself, but it was like we were going to school to learn how to lie. They want to make us Turk. Some of you were born in Iraq. They wanted to make you Arab. Some of you were born among the Kurds. They want you to Kurdificate. Some of our people in Iran, they make them to be Farsi and forget about our roots. And 2 days, I am in Detroit, in Michigan. I learned a lot by visiting the Chaldean institutions here. And I am aware of the name issue that our people is going through that. And 1915, it was not the first genocide that happened to our people. 1843, 1846, Badr Khanbag, more or 40,000 people in Hakkari region, in Turabdin, and before that, 1915, Simele massacre, genocide 1933, 2014, ISIS genocide, and many other persecution. All these perpetrators, they want to destroy us, to divide us, to make us something that we are not. This name issue that exists among our community is made by our perpetrators, and gradually they succeed with this. And still in Europe, I spent 5 years in Austria, 17 years in Sweden, Germany, in the Netherlands, some other countries. Every year I go to 9 different countries and many cities in Germany and other places. And I know what I'm talking about, the name issue. The Assyrian Genocide Research Center, Seyfo Center, try to bring our people together. And the Seyfo genocide, sometimes we succeed to bring people together regardless. They have different identity and belief. Sometimes we don't succeed. I have been over 10 years in US, and I know some of our people, good Assyrians, in their head, sometimes when they introduce me to each other, they call Hunaina Suryanaya. So even some people, very honest people, very active Assyrian, face to face, they were asking me, really, what are you? How do you feel? Are you Assyrian? I was telling them, I don't need your permission to be Assyrian. Yeah, I'm Assyrian. I speak different dialect. I was born in different place, but you are not better Assyrian than me. We are Assyrian. So even some people, they call themselves Chaldean, Aramean, Syriac. I understand what happened, and we try to use soft language as much as possible. And I want also, and I feel in some places, this Seyfo bring Western Assyrians, Eastern Assyrians close to each other, because we speak about the same aspect of history. The perpetrators, when they came, our ancestors, they didn't ask people in their villages which church you belong to, Syriac church, you are fine. They didn't, it didn't matter for them. They were killing all people because they were different, they were Christian, they were Assyrian. so we need to speak with one and the same language. Everything began in my childhood, and I remember watching my grandfather in Arbo and other elderly Assyrians shed silent tears as they spoke about what happened during the Assyrian Genocide of 1915. As I grew older, I gradually learned more about these events. I am still far from knowing everything, but today I am honored to share what I have learned and what my research continues to explore. Year 2000 happened something in Diyarbakir in Turkey. A Turkish journalist from a newspaper, Hürriyet, went to Mat Maryam Church in Diyarbakir to ask the Father Yusuf Akbulut his opinion about the Armenian genocide. Kasha Yusuf Akbulut, he was simple, Kasha. He said, no, don't use the term Armenian genocide because this is wrong. He said, this term doesn't explain everything. It was not only Armenian genocide, it was Armenian and Assyrian genocide. And the day after, the largest Turkish newspaper, Hürriyet, put Kasha Yusuf Akbulut in the first page, and with his hand crossed, and they put the title, "The Traitors Among Us." And they took him to the court. They were asking him, did you mention the Assyrian-Armenian genocide? He said, yes, I am a Kasha, I am a priest, I am Christian. I can't lie, it is not permitted to lie. If you tell me you didn't commit a genocide against these people, in 1915, in this area, there were people from the Chaldean church, they were people, Assyrian, Armenian, but today they are gone. You tell me what happened to them. This is what Kasha Yusuf Akbulut told them. I will go to my topic and then come back again to Turkey. I will tell you, during the First World War, alongside the Armenian and Ottoman Greeks, the Assyrians, one of the Christian minorities of the Ottoman Empire, fell victim to the genocidal policies of Ottoman state. This tragedy unfolded in the borderlands of present-day Turkey, Iran, and Iraq, devastating an indigenous population with a distinct ethno-religious heritage. Hundreds of thousands were murdered or driven into exile, and the survivors were dispersed across the globe. Although the genocide of the Ottoman Armenians, Assyrian, and Greeks occurred within the same historical, political context, most academic research has focused primarily on the Armenian genocide. Consequently, the Assyrian genocide remains one of the forgotten atrocities of the 20th century. The genocide was perpetrated against Christian peoples living under the rule of the Committee of Union and Progress. We call it in Turkish Jihad Teraki. I think it's Arabic term, Jihad Teraki, which governed the Ottoman Empire at that time. Following the proclamation of Jihad, November 14, 1914, a so-called holy war against Christian infidels, the Assyrians, like the Armenians, became explicit targets. The overarching objective of these policies was the homogenization of Turkish state. They want to make Turkey one Muslim nation with one language, one identity, one flag, everything one. And this is the main reason they committed genocide against Christian population, Assyrian, Armenian, and Greeks. The genocide was orchestrated under the leadership of the Young Turk regime, particularly Interior Minister Talat Pasha as part of a deliberate campaign of demographic homogenization. The Ottoman genocide of 1915 must be regarded as an essential factor in any comprehensive analysis of Germany's Islamic strategy during the First World War and the Ottoman Empire's declaration of jihad on November 1914. I will show you how Germany was involved in the Assyrian, Armenian, and Greek genocide. To understand the process behind the declaration of jihad in the Ottoman Empire, we must examine who Max von Oppenheim was. You see him in the picture, and the role he played during this period. Max Oppenheim, he was born 1860 and was a German diplomat, Orientalist, and archaeologist. He was born on July 15, 1860, as Max Freiherr von Oppenheim. He was the son of Albert von Oppenheim, a Cologne banker from a prominent family of Jewish origin. His father converted to Catholicism before marrying Paula Engels, who came from a Catholic family. Although Oppenheim's early applications to the foreign ministry were rejected because of his background, he was accepted in 1895 to Germany's need for expertise on Egypt and the Islamic world. Max von Oppenheim, he served as a diplomat in Cairo from 1896 to 1909. He spent about 13 years in Cairo, in Egypt, during a decisive phase of Germany's Eastern policy. Due to his close engagement with the Muslim communities and his practice wearing local dress in Cairo and Istanbul, Oppenheim came to be known among his German friends as Abu Jihad. Abu, you know, in Arabic, the father of jihad. Even German historians Wolfgang Schwanitz also refers to him as the German Abu Jihad, noting that he designed 136-page master plan in October 1914. Before the war, the First World War, the Ottoman Empire had suffered significant territorial losses, particularly after the Balkan Wars 1912-1913, and sought a powerful ally against Britain, France, and Russia and Germany. For its part, regarded the Ottoman Empire as tragically vital because of its geographic position and influence over Muslim population. On August 2nd, 1914, the day the German-Ottoman alliance was signed, Oppenheim was recalled to the foreign ministry. You know, before it was skeptical because he has Jewish background. They didn't want to give him a diplomatic status. His background to be Jewish was problematic in Germany. At the outset of the war, he was tasked with outlining the principle of Germany's Islamic policy. His report, later known as the Great Memorandum, was submitted in October 1914 under the title in German Denkschrift betreffende Revolutionären der islamischen Gebiete und ihrer Feinde, in English, Memorandum concerning the revolutionization of the Islamic territories of our enemies. It represented the most comprehensive expression of Germany's attempt to mobilize the Islamic world against the entente powers and marked the culmination of both Germany's wartime Islam policy and Oppenheim's political career. Oppenheim subsequently organized the propaganda activities, described the memorandum. What began as a translation office developed into the Nachrichtenstelle for the Orient, based in Berlin, established to advance Germany's wartime strategy toward the Islamic world. I went to Berlin and I saw the office that Max von Oppenheim had. There were 60 people. They were working at the office in Berlin, and they spoke different languages: Arabic, Hindu, German, Ottoman Turkish, and Farsi. And these people, they were paid by Germany, and they were translating. First, they were writing articles, translate them to German, and then to different languages. Central to the propaganda of this office campaign following the 1914 proclamation of Jihad, the Eastern Intelligence Unit served as a hub for pan-Islamic messaging. During the war, it engaged captured soldiers in propaganda efforts and established branches to mobilize prisoners of war against their former armies. Staffed by multilingual writers and speakers, these branches published newspapers, most notably Al Jihad. You see it here. This Jihad, Al Jihad magazine was in Turkish, Farsi, Arabic, Hindu, Russian, and this magazine was published every 2 weeks in Germany. And the question, why Germany, as a Christian nation, was publishing this El Jihad magazine and paying salary to more than 60 people, educating them about Islam, and giving the role to Max von Oppenheim to write a memorandum, 136 pages, to convince also the Ottoman Turk to declare jihad. What was behind? You know, during the First World War, the German government employed various tactics to win the support of Muslims in the Middle East, North Africa, and Caucasus. These actions formed part of a larger strategy to undermine the British Empire and its allies by inciting unrest in their colonies and diverting resources from the European front. A significant element of Germany's Islamic strategy was the declaration of jihad or holy war against the Allied powers, particularly Britain, France, and Russia. You know, the First World War started between two camps. On one side was Germany, Hungary, Ottoman Turkey. On the other side, Britain, France, and Russia. German leaders were well aware of Islamic teachings. According to the classical Islamic doctrine, the world is divided into Darul Islam, and some of you you speak Arabic, you know Darul Islam, the house of peace, and Darul Harb is the word of war, and this exists in teaching of Islam. Islam teaching divide the societies to two pieces, we and them. This is a problem when you divide a community, we and them. According to Gregory Stanton, a genocide scholar in the United States, he says that dividing people, society, we and them, is the first step of a genocide. And last stage, the 10th stage, a genocide, according to him, there are 10 stages, and the first stage to divide society, we and them, and the last stage is denial. And still, the Assyrian genocide, the Armenian genocide, denied by the perpetrator. Still, the Simele massacre is denied by the Iraqi government, by the Kurds. And this is the same with the Seyfo genocide. This conceptual framework differentiates between territories under Islamic rule and those considered outside it. The declaration of jihad on November 14, 1914 was intended to exploit religious sentiments among Muslim population and encouraged uprising against colonial powers. The Ottoman Turkish leadership envisioned the political unification of all Turkish-speaking peoples under the ideology of Turanism, also referred to as Pan-Turanism. Jihad was used as a political tool to mobilize the Muslim and support nationalist goal. The Jihad proclaimed by Sheikhul Islam on November 1914. This is Sheikhul Islam in front of the Fatih Sultan Mehmed Camisi Mosque in Istanbul. This proclamation was signed by 29 clergy members, Muslim leaders, and they were, I will tell you more about this. This El Jihad magazine from Berlin, books, pamphlets, 10,000, 20,000 of them, they were sending to Constantinople at that time, Istanbul, and to Anatolia, to different mosques. In 1914, all this jihad was read in all mosques, and according to this jihad, the Kurdish tribes, the governor of Diyarbakir, and other places, they organized the Muslim Kurds because society was divided into Christian and Muslims. When this jihad was declared, and they told them whoever 7 infidels can have a ticket to go to heaven. Not only to go to heaven, but also they could invite their relatives also to go to heaven. It was free ticket for them to commit a genocide, to kill their neighbors, to take their properties, to take their wives, daughters. Exactly what happened in 2014 in Iraq, in Syria, in Khabur, and other places. This is Jihad Akbar Fatwa. The Jihad proclamation by Sheikhul Islam on November 14, 1914, the highest theological authority in the Ottoman Empire, consisted of a 5-part of fatwa calling Muslim population, Muslim to fight the intended powers, the United Kingdom, France, and Russia. Thousands of pamphlets drafted and printed in Berlin by the Eastern Intelligence Unit were transported to Constantinople, now Istanbul, and distributed among the population. These pamphlets called the Muslims to raise up and fulfill their religious duty. Soon thereafter, similar material were disseminated through Anatolia and other Ottoman territories. In November 14, people in Istanbul, they were carrying green flags symbolizing Islam, and they attacked the first time. They looted the Tokatlian Hotel because the Tokatlian Hotel owned by an Armenian shortly after the Jihad Akbar ceremony. This attack foreshadowed the violence that would soon engulf Christian communities throughout Anatolia. The Tokatlian Hotel was not the only establishment target. The declaration of this jihad in the Ottoman Empire made the Dutch Orientalist Christian Hurgronje announced that this declaration of jihad was a product made in Germany. And he published his book 1915, The Dutch Scholar. It is a short book, but he has everything in his book that this jihad was made in Germany. And this jihad made in Germany, the first time I read the book, I said, wow, it looks like really this Dutch scholar, he is right. And this is made in Germany because 60 people, they were working in Berlin. They had their office. They were printed El Jihad magazine. They were taking them to Constantinople, Istanbul, to Anatolia. So Germany is the main guilty for this, the Assyrian, Armenian, Greek genocide. But you know, when you go and study at the university or other schools, you need always to be critical to almost everything. You ask many questions. For example, when you look at the sky, you have to ask question why the sky is blue, or many other questions, question everything. So I try to question this. Made in Germany, it was, I went to this office, I saw El Jihad magazine, I know who Max Oppenheim, who is, I studied this, I did my research, but still I was not happy about my finding, because as German nation was not able to declare jihad, because you need to have caliphate, you need to be Muslim, and Germany did their part because they want to use religion. My conclusion, I said, no, this is wrong. Of course, Germany is responsible. Germany did very bad things, but how about the Ottoman Turks? How about the Kurds? Were they remote control on the hand of Germany? They could play with them? No, they had also their own strategy. In my research, I found out that it was not the first jihad in the Ottoman Turkey. It was even Badir Khan Beg. His around him advised him to declare jihad, to use religion as a tool. So this is the reason I was asking many questions about Germany's role, jihad, because the Ottoman Turks, through this jihad, they want to clean all the Christians, to make everything one. Otherwise, to 2 million people in the Ottoman Turkey without mobilizing the Kurds, our neighbors, they were Kurds, Muslims. Sometimes we used to go to their Ramadan. They were coming to our holidays, and we were saying hello if they need help. If we were needing help, we were helping each other. But these are the top, when they want to divide society, to put people together, many times they succeed. This is 1915 also, when after this Jihad declaration, the Ottoman Turkey, when they divided the society, Muslims, Christian, they organized the Kurdish tribes. Majority of them, they participated on the of the Assyrians and Armenians too. They were our neighbors. And nowadays, some of their leaders, they condemn what happened, and some of them, they are sincere. For example, I am very good friend with Badir Khan Beg's grandson, who lives in Turkey, in Izmir. I communicate with him almost every month. He is a very great person. I interviewed him. It is in the Seyfo Center, in English, in Turkish. He condemned what his grandfather did against Assyrians in Hakkari, in Turabdi region. And some people, some writer English and Turkish, they publish many books. They call it Nestorian katliamı, Nestorian genocide. In my research, I found this problematic. One, there is nobody call him or herself Nestorian. It is a wrong term. And this genocide was not limited only to Hakkari. I found sources that British missionaries, when they went to Rabdin, Mardin, other places, according to them, when they met people from the Syriac Orthodox Church, Jacobite Church, when they mentioned Badir Khan Beg, they were shaking. The persecution of Badir Khan Beg didn't limit only to Hakkari, but to Rabdi region also. They had a bishop, Hassio Ablahat, Bishop Ablahat. He was going from Kafro to Arkah. I know these villages, they are close villages. Badir Khan Beg's men, they went on the road, they took the Bishop Ablahat, and they took his heart alive, and then they took his heart to Badir Khan Beg, the Syriac Orthodox bishop. into Rabdin. So, after the Jihad declaration in Hakkari. So his grandson condemned the genocide in Hakkari, and he also suggested that Kurdish organization that they are liberals, leftists, and they are more open to speak about their history. You can find some intellectual among them. Some of them, they are not very nationalist, these liberal leftists. Maybe it's opposite than leftism, liberalism. It depends which country you live. It's different terminology. And they said it is so beautiful suggestion. We should go to Zap River, where Mar Binyamin Shemon's mother was made 2 pieces and thrown to Zap River. They said we should condemn what Badr Khan Bag did. And they said, we will give you answer in a month. And they came after a month, told him, unfortunately, we can't make it because they are in Hakkari. There are some Kurdish tribes. If the circumstances allows them, they can do worse than their grandfather Badr Khan Bag did. The mentality is still there. And in Turkey, they say the denial, they say 1914, 1923, we defended our country. They don't say we committed genocide. They say we defended our country. If the circumstances allows us, we will do it again and again. So the mentality is still there. And this is one of the reasons we need to speak more about the Assyrian genocide. Go back to my conclusion. The German strategy was not very successful. The Muslim population did not revolt against Britain. Therefore, many Western and Turkish historians, such as Christian Snauk Horgrinier, Erik Zürcher, Tilman Lütke, Mustafa Aksakal, and Kerem Çalışkan in Turkey, whose analysis begin from Germany's strategic objectives, have described the Jihad declaration as a failure or unsuccessful attempt. At the same time, these viewpoints do not offer a comprehensive understanding. The Ottoman leaders did not merely obey Germany's will and declare jihad in November 14, 1914. The leadership of the Committee of Union Progress declared jihad, intending to unite all Turkish-speaking people as a single entity. This was the big dream of the Ottoman leaders. Their strategy by declaring jihad was to take a step further toward their Turan, also called Pan-Turanism. This was a movement to unite politically and culturally all the Turks in Turkey and other countries. Jihad was a tool in their hands to mobilize the Muslim population and reach their goal. It's obvious their big dream to accomplish Ottoman Empire was not fully accomplished. However, the Muslim population participated in the of Armenian, Assyrian, and Assyrian Christians in Anatolia. The consequences of anti-Christian hostility and declared jihad was not confined to Anatolia. Significant massacres occurred regions by Assyrians in Hakkari, you know Hakkari on the corner, Van, Diyarbakir to Rabdin, including Urmi in Iran and its surrounding villages in present day in Iran. In October 1914, the Russian vice consul in Urmi, Vedansky, inspected destroyed Assyrian villages and reported, I quote, "The consequences of jihad are everywhere. In the Assyrian village of Angar, I saw burnt corpses with large, sharp stakes driven into their bellies. The houses have succumbed to fire and destruction, and flames still burn in the neighboring villages." End of quote. With the declaration of jihad, This CUP leadership effectively mobilized religious favor and other social forces, using them as instrument of mass violence. With the outbreak of war, the Ottoman government accused Assyrian communities of sympathizing with Russia and Britain. These allegations served as a pretext for state-sanctioned violence. Ottoman regular forces, together with Kurdish tribal militias and local auxiliaries, launched coordinated assaults on Assyrian settlements beginning in 1914. The massacres and deportation were concentrated even in Mosul plants. Villages were systematically destroyed, men were executed, women and children endured sexual violence, forced conversions, and death marches through inhospitable terrain without food or shelter. Scholarly estimates suggest that between 250,000 and 300,000 Assyrians, approximately half of the Assyrian population under the Ottoman rule, perished. Survivors were displaced, seeking refuges in countries such as in Argentina, Brazil, and Russia, where they established enduring diasporic communities. Through oral testimonies, liturgical commemoration, and intergenerational memory, they preserve the history of what had occurred. In the post-war period, the Assyrian presence in southeastern Turkey was effectively eradicated. Historic villages were destroyed or resettled, ending centuries of continuous habitation. Henry Morgenthau, U.S. ambassador to the Ottoman Empire from 1913 to 1916, left one of the most detailed contemporary accounts. He observed the persecution of Armenian, Assyrian, and Greeks, and wrote that after the overthrow of Sultan Abdul Hamid, CUP leaders embraced nationalist and Pan-Turanism ambitions that required the elimination of Christian population. I quote him, Talat Pasha told Morgenthau, I quote, "I have accomplished more towards solving the Armenian problem in 3 months than Abdul Hamid accomplished in 30 years, end of quote. During the First World War, the Ottoman Empire had a population of approximately 14.5 million. 4.5 million of those people, they were Christian. This makes 33% of the population, they were Christians. And nowadays, the total Christian population in Turkey is 0.1%. Almost 30 years ago, I started to go from country to country and speak about elderly Assyrians and listen to them, to their stories. I conducted about 150, and I have about 300 genocide survivor testimonies. And these people that I went to Sweden, many cities, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, some other places, when these people, elderly people, saw that I have a camera with me to take pictures, a pen of paper, they didn't want me to ask them questions to be recorded. But when I spent time with them, some of them I could see they had a lot to say. And I couldn't understand why these people, they didn't want to talk to me. I stopped to take my camera with me, go to them, ask them about their villages, if they missed Torabdin, Syria, some other places. So we spoke about very simple thing, nothing about the genocide, nothing about the losing their family members. At that time, I was not much aware about trauma, that people, they can go through very traumatic events. And I noticed that these people, they were traumatized people, and this is the reason they didn't want to speak to me. And one of them was Abdullah Goke. He was 107 years old, living in Germany, in Gronau. At that time, I used to live in the Netherlands, in Enschede. It was kind of 10, 15 minutes taking the train. I could go to him. I started to visit him many times, to listen to him. And because he was telling me, one time I went to him, he said, let me give you a song. I was joined Agapetrus' army, he said. And it was very beautiful song. I couldn't understand because it was Eastern dialect. And the second time I went to him to record this, 107 years old, I was a little bit late. He didn't want me to record him. But I'm very stubborn. I don't give up. This is also my character. My name is Sabro, means patient, to have hope. And Bengaro in Assyrian means to be brave. I try to have patience, to have hope, and to be brave too. We were organizing a conference at the European Parliament 2007. I went to him. He didn't want to speak. I went back to Enschede. I got a phone call from him. I was very happy. I was very happy to get a phone call from him. Almost I knew what the phone call was about. He said, what are you doing next weekend, next Sunday? I said, I have nothing. He said, take your camera, take your question, and come to me. I took a piece of paper, prepared 15, 20 questions. I was very happy. I took my camera also. He was willing to speak to me because he had a lot to say. He couldn't write his name, but he remembered almost everything. I went to him to start my questions. Before I was opening my mouth to ask him a question, he started to ask me a question. He said, tell me, how many eyes do you see here? I said, I see 2 eyes. And then he started to speak. He said, in front of these 2 eyes, I will not mention exactly what he said. He said, they did evil things to my mother in front of my eyes. They my younger brother in front of my eyes. And he started to cry like a baby, like a child. I was kind of shocked. I didn't know what to say, how to do. Just I stopped 30, 40 seconds. After 40 seconds, I said, but these things happened 100 years ago. Why did you cry now? And then became kind of angry with his voice. He said, for you, it was 100 years ago. But come and ask me. He said, every night, this is nightmares for me. Every night I dream about this. He started to cry again. He said, shame on me, on himself. He said, I am not a man. I noticed trauma, there are few symptoms. One of the symptoms, people traumatize people. They feel ashamed for things happen to them. They feel guilty. And also they don't trust anybody. He didn't trust me. He didn't trust anybody. This was the reason he didn't want to speak to me, to be recorded. Until I gained his trust, he called me. I went to record him. Second, you know, who will tell that if something happened to your mom, to my mother in front of everybody, or something happened to us, sometimes we feel ashamed and better to keep it quiet. Also, he was feeling guilty. He said, I'm not a man. If I was a man, how I didn't try to protect my mother? He was feeling guilty. He was feeling guilty also because he didn't protect his younger brother, and they his younger brother, but not him. He was feeling guilty. Why not me? Why my brother? You know why? Because his younger brother was 5 years. He was useless. They couldn't use him, but he was taken as slave from the Kurdish family. He was working for them for 2 years as a slave, and this is the reason they didn't him. So he said, no, I will come. Can you take me to European Parliament? I will speak to them. It was not 10, it was not 100, thousands of people. Many women, many girls, they were abducted by Muslim, Kurds, and others. They were taken away. Their parents, they were take me to European Parliament. I will speak. He started to speak. Whatever he told me, none of his family, none of his kids, not the grandchildren, they didn't know about it. It was the first time he could tell anybody. And you will see also why for 30 years I go from place to place, and 24/7, I promise to you, I'm ready to work for the nation, for the Assyrian nation. Regardless, we are all Chaldeans, all Syriac, all Arameans, all this, they are our people. We are one and the same people. And even if you call me at 3:00 a.m., if you tell me we need you, just I will tell you, give me 5 minutes, I will wash face, I will be ready, whatever you need, we do it. Because I feel these survivors, all this, they gave me a lot of their testimonies, and these people, they are gone. They can't speak anymore. But I am alive. It will be shameful for me if I don't try to speak on behalf of them. We have to speak on behalf of these. Because of them, we exist. So this is our duty. So I was going to Sydney, to Australia, and promised him to take him to European Parliament. While I was in Sydney, I heard that he passed away. Before going to my home, I went to flower shop. I bought the flowers. I went to cemetery to show him my respect. When I was back home, I switched on the Turkish TV. I saw President Erdogan, President of Turkey, saying genocide is very bad things. We are Muslims. Muslims doesn't do these things. And still, Turkey deny the Assyrian, Armenian, and Greek genocide. And you know what happened in Seyfo? In Seyfo was huge Chaldean monastery, Mar Jacob, and there were many Chaldeans living in Seyfo, and the governor of Diyarbakir organized the Kurdish tribes, and some Muslims, they went to see it. They were collecting Chaldean children together with Armenian children. They were telling them, we will give you candy. You know, kids, they love candy. They like sweet. They were taking them, hundreds of kids, to a mountain, and one by one, they were throwing them. When they were tired, they asked a question to these kids. They said, who knows these infidels? Your parents hide the food in the monasteries. One of the girls, she said, I know. But if you stop us, I will show you where you can find the food. And they stopped. They took them. She took them to the Mar Jacob monastery where Bishop Adaishir was serving. And there they found the food. They start to eat. But one of the soldiers opened a door, And what he saw, they were amazing, more than 10,000 books. And after eating, they took all these books to the backyard and they start to fire on them and throwing some of these children on the fire. And many years ago, a friend of mine in Stockholm University had conducted an interview with Kasha Isho from Torabdin. Somebody from Seyrt told him there is a Muslim Kurdish woman in Seyrt. She wants to see a Christian Assyrian man, and she has some books to give. Are you willing to go and take these books? He said, yeah, I will go. Seyrt is not far from us. They went together. They saw an old Kurdish Muslim lady, and the question she asked, she said, are you Christian? He said, yes. And she said, I have 2 books, very old books, but give me a promise you will take them to a church and give them to a priest to be protected. These books need to be protected. He said, yeah, give me the books. She gave him the books, very old books. We don't know, I don't know, at least I don't know what was inside. And the Assyrian man, he was confused. At that time, people, they were selling old things to each other, making business. And he said, maybe this lady, she wants to make money. He said, how much money do you want? She started to laugh. She said, you know, I'm 97 years old. What I'm going to do with your money? But keep your promise. I don't need your money, but take these books and give them to any Assyrian priest or church. He took the books, but while he was leaving, he said, I need to ask her why she is giving me these books. He said, what is behind these books? And why are you giving me these books and you are not charging? She said, if you sit a few minutes more, I will tell you my story. She said, 1915, this is what happened. They were taking Chaldean children with the Armenians, them, the rest, they were throwing them on the fire. And she took her clothes and she said, I am one of those people. One Kurdish man took me. I was forced to marry his son. Now I have grandchildren. I have children. And during the night, I am Christian. During the day, I am Muslim. So my children, my grandchildren, they don't know anything about this. But I want you to keep your promise. Take these books and give them to an Assyrian. Take them to a church. They belong to you. So there are so many painful stories about the genocide. They didn't only kill our people, they took their properties. Not only people taking their properties, they destroyed our identity, they destroyed our language. We became refugees in our own country, that homeland that we used to live for 5,000 years. Now we are living in Michigan, in Arizona, in California, in Argentina, in Brazil, in Russia, in Europe, and many other places. We go through very painful assimilation process, and still these perpetrators, they deny the Assyrian genocide, and still part of our people also, they play the game to be divided. We fight against each other, being Chaldean, being Assyrians, being Syriac, being Arameans, and we forget about the perpetrators, that they divided us. So my message to our people, we need to unite. Maybe 100 years ago, we were ignorant people, we were tribal people, We were Tkhumnaya, Baznaya, and this, Turabdanaya, and whatever. But now, after 100 years, we should learn from our past, from our history, to unite it, to speak with one voice. Otherwise, it is shame on us if we don't unite, if we don't speak with one voice. So the genocide is a heavy topic, and I am the founder of the Assyrian Genocide Research Seyfo Center 2004. We have branches in different countries, and the US, Arizona, and other branch. We do documentation, and we raise awareness about the Assyrian genocide. There are now 9 countries, they recognize the Assyrian genocide. 9 states in America, they recognize the Assyrian genocide. Arizona, state of Arizona, California, Illinois, also they accepted to teach about the Assyrian history and genocide. And we have 16, 17 genocide monuments. Not all the work at the Seyfo Center. All respect to all our Assyrian organization, other individual. This is a result of our people. We are one piece of this people, and but still it is a lot to do, and we need to also ask the question: how about Michigan? We have a large community also here in Michigan. What can we do? How can we contribute? And Turkey, they spend $300 million every year to deny the Assyrian Armenian genocide. They have scholars, they are a powerful country, they have students, they have professors, and they have countries supporting them, but we are handful people working on this. So I want you also to be part of this. Please follow our work, Seyfo Center, and if there is anything you want us to know, please keep in contact. So, but we will continue to work with this, and we need your support. So thank you so much for your attention, and I am here. I will be very happy to answer your questions.
You were talking about German doing the fatwa and helping Kurdish or Turkish people to do the genocides against our people.
Yeah.
Do you know, or did you find anything in your research why and what was the reason? What exactly German has to do with our people?
You know, as religion is a tool by the perpetrator to use it, at that time there were millions Muslims living in India. India and Egypt, they were under the control of Britain. Britain and Germany was competing about Middle East. Who is going to be the leader of the Middle East? And Germany's plan was, if we use Ottoman Turks to declare jihad, so we will organize the Muslims in India and in Egypt. They will raise up and fight against the Britain, so we will take India and Egypt, so we will win the First World War, and so we will defeat Britain. And this was the reason they organized this jihad. And the Kaiser, the German Kaiser, went to Constantinople, to Istanbul, went to Damascus. In Damascus, he had a famous speech. He said, I will be the leader of 300 million Muslims. I will protect them. And German intelligence service also spread the propaganda. They said Kaiser will convert to Islam, and in the Middle East they start to call him Haji Wilhelm Muhammad. And after many Muslims, they believed the German Kaiser Wilhelm Muhammad will be Muslim, and soon, inshallah, Germany will be Muslim too. All their plan was to make the Muslims in India, Egypt to race against Britain, so they could defeat the Britain. This was the main reason Germany used this jihad.
You mentioned that they recognized genocide in 9 different countries, and I was just curious, like, what those 9 countries were, because I didn't know it was that many, so that caught my attention.
The first, in Sweden we have about 220,000 Assyrians. Not all of them, they call themselves Assyrians. Like here we have division always, but because of the population and this Seyfo means everything for everybody, especially from people from Turkey, from Syria. They use this term Seyfo because they were by sword, Seyfo, Sepa, and we use this term. And since I came to America, I heard some of my Assyrian friends, they didn't like this term, why Seyfo, this is Assyrian genocide. But Holocaust also, they call it in Hebrew, Shoah. Rwanda, genocide, they call it Panga. Armenians, they call it Matsyagan. In our dialect, we call it Seyfo, Sepa. So Sweden, because of the population, and we had at that time 6 members in different political parties at Swedish Parliament. We have Assyrian Federation, Syrianska Federation, Women Federation, churches, business people, etc. This was a lot for us. The government recognized Sweden was the first government, parliament, they recognized the Assyrian genocide. We went to Armenia and we did a lot in Armenia. We said, you are asking for other nations, other people to recognize the Armenian genocide, but you don't recognize the Assyrian genocide. And then second was Armenia, Austria, Germany, Vatican, Czechoslovakia. There is a list in the Seyfo Center of these countries. And there are states in America also recognize the Assyrian genocide, California, Arizona, Illinois, and some other states also, together with the Armenian genocide, mention the Assyrian genocide. But I will tell you something, everything that we accomplish, believe me, there is huge work behind it. For example, let's say California. Rabbi, I came 2007 to Detroit. You invited me for a presentation here. I came from Europe with very broken language. Still, I don't speak. You see, pronunciation of English is terrible, very difficult. And but yeah, thank you. And I came with student visa here. I don't have anybody here, but I had my name Sabro, hope, patient, and I'm very stubborn. I will never give up. This is 12 maybe meetings in Sacramento, in Fresno, in Los Angeles, in Turlock, in other places. I was taking bus to these places. I was calling people, Alan, can I come to Turlock? Can I stay tonight at your place? Because I didn't have money to go and spend at the hotel. Even I tried to take bus, etc., to make it but after 12 meetings and 2 years, the first state in America was California to recognize the Assyrian genocide. I went to Arizona for a presentation. A state senator came to my presentation, Nancy Barto, if I'm not mistaken her name. And then she said, are you staying in Arizona? I said, 1 week I'm here. She said, what are you doing these days? I said, I am staying with a friend, and every single day I go and hiking. I like hiking. And there is a place in Arizona, you go, it's really not easy to hiking. She said, when I was young, this senator was about 70 years old, she said, I will come and pick you up at 5:30 and we go hiking together. We went to the top. She was a Republican senator. We went to the top, and then I said, can I ask you a few questions? And she said, yeah. I said, I will record it. And was a gentleman in front of us, American. I said, my friend, can you record us a few minutes? I will ask the lady a few questions. He said, where are you from? I said, from Sweden. He said, "Viva socialism! Socialism is the best." And these Republican stupid people, they don't understand anything. I said, "Wow, please don't now. She is conservative. You are going to record her." And then just record us. Forget about this being Republican or stupid. This. And she started to record. He started to record us. And my question was, dear Senator, will you help us to make Arizona State to recognize the Assyrian genocide? It's recorded. She said, "I will promise. I will do whatever I can." And she kept her promise. So we worked together with her, and Arizona became second state that recognized the Assyrian genocide. So always there are a lot of work behind all this. And I run, for example, in Europe, I ran 5 times marathon. Marathon, you know, 42 kilometers. It's 26 miles. Please, I hope you are not bored. I will tell you this and then stop. I was in the Netherlands and in a city called Enschede. And every year about 6,000 people, they run marathon for different reasons. And I asked some of my friends, I said, let's go and print a t-shirt. Turkey should recognize the Assyrian genocide. We run among them too. And my friends, young people, they said, yeah, we will do it. We were 7 people, and with our t-shirts, we went, ran the marathon, 42 kilometers, 26 miles. It was very heavy. And the day after, the largest Dutch newspaper put our photos on the first paper. Turkey should recognize the Assyrian genocide. Then, you know, there were many Assyrian kids, they were disappointed on us. They said, why you didn't inform us? We could join you too. We said, have a patience, prepare yourself next year. And this next year, we were about 55 people. And the third year, we were about 75 people. And the fourth year, we were 93 people. I remember the number. And the last time, and I have 2 knee surgery. I was like really with pain, but stubborn. I said, these people, they did it, and I will do it too. Only one person, one young guy, he gave up. He said, I'm sorry, when I say McDonald's, I forget about anything. And the rest, they did the marathon. So in the Netherlands, for example, the Assyrian youth, they grow up like that. We did it in Stockholm, in London, in Switzerland, in Belgium. So awareness about the Assyrian genocide is much higher than before. But we need more scholars. We need more academic publication. We need the support of the community. Without support of our community, our energy is limited. We need to organize our community better, to make our case, to introduce it much better. We have to learn from other people, Armenians, Jewish, how they work. Everywhere there are Holocaust museum, there are Holocaust studies. There are 17 chairs in different American universities. These professors, they teach about Armenian history, genocide, language, identity. Can you tell me one university that we have only one chair teach modern Assyrian history? We don't have. And so this is the reason, if we want to make our case, we need to organize ourselves better. We need to support each other.
It was very, very nice. Another Rajat Dedekti, where he said he's member wherever he did. And myself, I remember everything what happened to me when I was young and my dad in Iraq, like just a book. If I talk about it, I get started crying and get mad.
Yeah.
He was right. Doesn't matter how long it's going to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We need the justice. We need, this is according to international law also. If somebody committed genocide against other people, destroy their churches, taking their properties, they need to pay for that. They need to support these people again, to be people to live together in peace and harmony, and to make the condition that people they can go and live in Asra, in Turabdin, and other places. But all this they want to get rid with the Assyrians. So still they do it, and yeah, we need to work hard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
وما حكوا بس الجينوسايد هل إديوم أخني كو عراق كو أطرن كد إلى خاصة ميزوبوتاميا إيوه خد طم الجينوسايد يعني وادا من الجينوسايد محكى لرابي المتواتد هكاري تينا بطيلة أخني إديوما جينوسايد ديان إيلة قو بلطت ناشا من أطرا هجرة واستقطب متواتن زولن برور متواتد برور بيت الخازيتون قال خابخ ثربثة بعمرة خسروا وسوثة بعمرة فست ما يقارب قرب استريبت وان قماث هاوي بلكي خابيثة اتقاوي تريناشي يعني لت اتقاهاثة أخني زيلة برور ويخ أرباناشي قماثة تري من أنتي زيلة من أربل وتري أنت يصير كلام منهم قدنا متواثا أي إلى جينوسايد وقراود عراق وإيران أي قرق أنا برأي ديدي إلى جينوسايد خلنا كت قربت اشتي ألبي جوان قديدا أخني إينا شهداء القادسية قادسية صدام حرب العراقية الإيرانية أوكي محسبوا اشتي ألب شباب جوان قد أيام شات 8 هل 8 خلال 8 شنة أوكي أخني كمان مؤثرت إلن أخ أما كلنا إيثا وإديو مزبطت أراتن إني لبو غربيا إني لبو دشت الدنوي هم إلى جينوسايد أنه كل إلى ملفات إلى كيسس يعني ما طول أخني من أقرم بلاطخ خلال كمشنة متخير العبيد بلكت أخني بزمن بوقت صدام من يانا ديدا يوم ما قارب مليون ويشتم ألبي اليوم ما يوخ ما يقارب ترم ألبي ما جينوسايد إذا كانت أخني لو برآشة قاوم يعني بنخارنينا نيخا أي خمن هرتوا وتوجي بس
Thank you very much.
Without this kind of center, it'll fall to the wayside. I mean, we have different organizations that talk about it, sure, but his sole purpose for the last 40, 50 years is to focus on this and bring this to the world's attention. So it's a very important cause. If you have a minute, SeyfoCenter.com, just go on there, donate, can be small, can be large. Just please donate or share or anything like that. So thank you very much again, Dr. Bengaro.
Thank you.